Hello, everyone. I'm Taylor Austin, and I am thrilled to welcome you back to another episode of Tea and Policy with Moms Rising. Today, we're once again diving into the policy issues that shape the lives of moms, children, and families. And joining me for this insightful conversation is the amazing Molly Weston Williamson. She is a policy expert whose work focuses on paid leave, Social Security, and the needs of a changing workforce. She is a senior fellow with the Center for American Progress and leads the policy work for paid leave for all. She was appointed by Governor Ned Lamont to the board of directors of the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority, where she currently serves as vice chair. Previously, she was the director of paid leave and future work at A Better Balance and clerked for the Honorable Thomas L. Ombro of the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. She graduated Phi Beta Kappa with high honors from Swarthmore College and received her JD from Yale Law School. In addition to her accomplished resume, Molly is a good friend and a partner I am so grateful to have the opportunity to work with. She is an incredible policy mind and has a knack for turning the policy gobbledygook, and yes, that is a technical term, into something that makes my brain light up and be able to make sense of. So thank you so much, Molly, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm always happy to come and hang out with Moms Rising.
So we like to have all of our guests share a little bit about themselves in their own way. Molly, can you tell us a little bit about your work, what inspired you to advocacy, and what's guided you?
So, I'm a lawyer by training. I got into this work because I was representing workers who didn't have the paid leave they needed and were suffering the consequences because of it. And that really turned into a lifetime of trying to make sure that everybody has the protections they need when they need them. And one of the great joys in my life has been along the way, I became a mom and got to have the experience of having leave when both of my boys were born. And I remember sitting there when they were really little and thinking, I cannot imagine what it would be like if I had to put on clothes and shoes and leave my house today, and feeling that in my body at the same time as knowing intellectually that way too many moms across the country were being forced back to work when their bodies were still healing, when their babies still needed them at home. And so I have had the great joy and privilege of getting to work with folks across the country to deliver paid leave programs that are helping them right now as we keep building towards the federal program we need. And I'm excited to keep having this conversation about all of the ways that all of the people need paid leave for all of the things, and working together in partnership to make sure we can finally deliver that for everybody.
Okay, so as I said, today is a special episode. One, because we are going to be talking about moms equal pay day. So if you're tuning in, you may know the headlines, you may not, but I'll give them to you. Overall, working mothers earn just 64 cents for every dollar paid to fathers. But Black, Latina, and Native mothers, for them, that gap is much wider. Today, we're not just talking about the problem, but we're also digging deep into one of the most powerful solutions to helping close the wage gap: paid family and medical leave. And Molly is going to help us break down where things stand from state victories across the country to the fight at the federal level with the Family Act. Again, we're so glad to have you here, Molly. So let's jump right on into the conversation. We talk a lot about the gender wage gap, but when you look under the hood of the numbers, a huge portion of that gap is the motherhood wage penalty. For folks watching this who might be thinking, like, how does taking time off to care for a newborn or an aging parent tie into pay equity and paid leave? Can you connect those dots for us?
Absolutely. So, what we know is that when people don't have the kind of protected paid leave they need, moms end up in a situation where maybe you have to take some time unpaid, which you can't really afford to take when you have a caregiving need that arises. Maybe you get pushed into going back to work before you're ready, but at that point you have to cut back on your hours. Maybe for a lot of moms get pushed out of the workforce entirely because they can't reconcile the things that their family needs with the things that they need to do at work. And that means that moms are earning less when they're taking unpaid leave, they're earning less when they're having to cut back hours, and they're earning less throughout their lifetimes. So it's not just a question of right there in that moment when my kids are little, right there in that moment when I'm caring for my dad with cancer, my income is decreased. It's that when you are pushed to take that time out, when you are punished for having to care, you earn less throughout your life. You never make it back to that earning level if you are pushed out, and that's something that you're going to feel the consequences of for life. And that's not just in terms of what you're earning and bringing home. That also means things like your retirement security. If you're having to take time out in those crucial years when you're getting pushed out of the workforce just because you're not able to take that short period of time that you need, that can mean you're not contributing to Social Security, you're not saving for retirement. And we know that women already struggle in retirement security. Women of color, especially Black women, way disproportionately suffer in terms of reaching retirement security. And so really what we're seeing here is we're penalizing moms, not just in the short term, but really throughout their lifetimes. And that's hurting moms, that's hurting families, that's hurting our economy, and that's hurting our whole country.
Yeah, Molly, that long-term piece, that is the piece that I focus on a lot, is about the retirement aspect. And you touched on it, and I touched on it at the top of the episode, but Black, Latina, and Native mothers are experiencing even wider wage gaps than the 64 cents that's earned overall by moms. Um, so much so that they're experiencing wage gaps that are less than 50 cents on the dollar compared to dads. Can you talk a little bit about how the current system without guaranteed paid family and medical leave compounds inequities for women of color and low wage workers?
So right now, women of color are disproportionately likely to work in the kinds of jobs that are unlikely to have access to paid leave. So think about retail, think about food service. We also know that women of color face greater consequences when they do take paid leave. They're more likely to get fired. They're more likely to suffer consequences at work for taking the leave they need. And so women of color, including moms of color, are disproportionately paying the price of our lack of investment in paid leave. And when we look at low-wage workers across the board, including that we know that women of color are disproportionately likely to be low-wage workers, low-wage workers are way less likely to have access to the paid leave they need than higher-wage workers. And so really, when we think about, right now in this country, at the federal level, the United States of America does not guarantee any paid leave to anyone. Not one day, not $1. But even though nobody has this federal guarantee, not everyone is suffering equally from the consequences of that lack of their guarantee. And it's low-wage workers, it's workers of color, it's women who are disproportionately bearing the burden. And therefore, it's those same workers who are disproportionately going to benefit when, not if, we finally guarantee paid leave for all.
I love that when, not if, because it is going to happen. With Molly at the helm, we are going to pass paid family medical leave for everyone in America. But while Congress has been slow to act, states across the country have not been waiting for them, right? They have been on fire, and we've seen incredible state and local wins over the last decade, over the last 2 decades, passing comprehensive paid family and medical leave programs. Before we look at the specific outcomes, can you set the stage? What is the overall state of play of paid leave across the country for the states right now? How many states have enacted paid family and medical leave programs? What kind of momentum are we seeing on the ground?
So the momentum is huge and it's only growing. So right now, 14 states and the District of Columbia have already passed comprehensive paid leave laws, including Virginia just earlier this year. That adds up to, right now, about 1 in 3 Americans live in a state with a guaranteed paid leave law. That's a huge number, and that's mostly the result of victories in the last 10-ish years, 10, 15 years. At the same time, it's not just, your Californias, your New Yorks, your Colorados that are showing up and saying, hey, we need paid leave. What we've seen, and I got a prop. So in a new report that Moms Rising and Paid Leave for All and a bunch of other partners put together, we highlighted that in the last 5-6 years, there have been meaningful expansions in leave rights in 42 states and the District of Columbia. That's almost all of them. Have showed up and said, here's a concrete, real thing that gives more leave to people right now. And that looks different in different states. So, for example, we've seen states like Georgia that have guaranteed a bunch of paid parental leave to state employees and to educators. We've seen states like Tennessee, which said, hey, we've already done paid parental leave for a lot of our public employees. How about we make sure folks have leave for end of life care as well? So really, what we're seeing is it's not just that people in every single state need paid leave. It's not just that people in every single state want paid leave. It's that people in pretty much every single state are showing up and demanding paid leave, and they're getting results that are turning into real benefits to real people right now.
Incredible. We've also seen some brand new programs launch recently. So even just this year in places like Delaware and Minnesota and Maine, while in other states we're seeing well-established states like expanding their benefits. What does the state level map tell us about where public demand is and where it's heading?
So what we've seen in poll after poll, year after year, is that overwhelming majorities of Americans, in any way you can slice it, dice it, if we look by race, if we look by gender, if we look by geography, if we look by political affiliation, overwhelming majorities of Americans want paid leave, they want a guaranteed program, they want their government to say, we think everybody deserves this, and to show up and provide it. And so that demand and that need that has been there for a long time is turning into real benefits in state after state. And we're not done yet. We have 14 states and DC that have already passed programs. There's a bunch of states that are excited to compete to be the next one. I think we're bringing this conversation to you from the greater Philadelphia area, where if I started walking right now, I could be in 2 different states that have paid leave within a couple of hours, and I don't have paid leave right now. And so we're working to change that in Pennsylvania. We're working to change that in New Mexico. We're working to change that in states around the country, and we're working to change that at the federal level.
That is a great and also heartbreaking visualization, right? Because it does mean that 2 moms living just miles apart across state lines, across municipality lines in some states, have totally different realities when it comes to paid leave access when a family crisis hits. And that is another when, not if, because as we know, life happens and it happens all the time. And so why is relying on state by state progress simply like not enough? Why do we need more?
So the thing we need is, as the sign says, we need paid leave for all. And the only way we are ever going to get there, the only way that we are going to get to every working person in every state, no matter where or how you live or work, has the paid leave they need when they need it, is through a federal guarantee. State programs are essential, they are invaluable, they are delivering real benefits to real people right now. They are the bricks we are using piece by piece to build our wall towards paid leave. But we're never going to get to every single person has the paid leave they need just through state victories. And everyone should be able to know that if you move across state lines, if you have to head back because that's what your family needs, if your job takes you to a different place, that you're not going to lose those paid leave rights you've counted on. And the only way we get there is through a federal guarantee.
And that is the perfect place for me to slide in. That the flagship federal legislation is called the Family Act. For our viewers who are not policy buffs, can you break down what the Family Act would actually guarantee for working moms, parents, Americans in terms of leave time, income, and all of the nuance of that?
Sure. So the headline is that the Family Act would guarantee all working people in the United States the right to up to 12 weeks of paid, job-protected time off for your own or a loved one's serious health needs. So think cancer treatment, think surgery, to welcome a new child. That's for parents of any gender, including foster and adoptive parents, or to address the impact of domestic violence or military deployment. The benefits would be tied to what you earn when you're working, so it would be a percentage of your own income. For low-wage workers, that could be as much as 85% of your income with a sliding scale from there. So really what the Family Act would do is say, once and for all, if you are working in this country, no matter where or how you work, we're going to ensure that the paid leave you and your family need is there for you when you need it.
Thank you for that. So economy and our workforce has changed a lot over the last, I would say, 20 to 30 years. Um, and it looks a lot different with the way we work. So gig workers, freelancers, and part-time staff, there's a lot more people working those ways now. How does the Family Act ensure that non-traditional and hourly workers aren't left out of access to paid leave?
So right now, everybody needs paid leave. Everybody gets sick. Everybody has aging parents who age. Everybody may welcome a new child. Everyone has something that's going to happen in their life where they're going to need paid leave. But not everybody gets it. And so we know that right now, part-time workers are disproportionately likely to lack paid leave. Folks who work at small employers often don't have paid leave. Folks who are self-employed, so if you're an independent contractor, if you're a freelancer, if you're a small business owner, almost never have access to paid leave outside of certain kinds of state paid leave programs. And so part of what's so exciting about the Family Act is that it's really set up to hit all working people. So if you are working, no matter what that looks like, so if you are self-employed, if you are working part-time, if you're seasonal, if you're temporary, all of those kinds of work are covered. All of those kinds of work are included in this baseline guarantee. Because the idea is really, when we say all, we mean all. And a federal program is uniquely set up to be able to do it the same way that we do for Social Security, the same way that we do for these other protections that people count on. The idea is really we can finally create this system in which everybody, as you're moving from job to job, as you are working a day job and trying to build a business on the side, as you're moving around, as different things are happening in your life, the idea is really, no matter how or where you live or work, paid leave is going to be there for you, counting on this federal program.
Thank you so much for that, Molly. Okay, so now we're moving into a portion of TM policy that we call the one thing, where we ask 3 focused questions as we're coming to a close of our discussion. So, question 1, what gives you the most hope about the momentum we're seeing today?
So, right now, this minute, across the country, there are people who are getting the treatment that can save their life. There are people who are tickling their new baby's toes. There are people who are getting to tell their parent or their spouse that they love them one last time before they pass, because they have paid leave, because of these state programs that all of us working together, including Moms Rising, have fought so hard and won. So right now, paid leave is a reality for millions upon millions of Americans. It is changing lives. It is saving lives. It is making this incredible difference right now. And I think as we reap those benefits, as we see over and over again in families, in communities, getting to see those benefits, that's the way we build towards saying, hey, I want that too. And to finally saying, we've done that in this place, and this place, and this place. We know how to do it. We know that it works. It's time to bring this home for everybody once and for all.
Yeah, I think that truly is the bright spot, right? Knowing that we've done this and that it is changing people's lives now. Okay, question 2. You spend a lot of time analyzing policies and talking to lawmakers. How critical are personal stories, in your opinion, from everyday moms in moving the needle on the Hill?
Stories are everything. Stories are the entire ballgame. Like, we can cite the facts and figures. I can give you, here's, 50 pages of research showing that paid leave helps the economy, that paid leave helps health, that paid leave saves lives, including babies' lives, which it does. But none of that is as effective, as moving, as powerful as when a mom, when a caregiver, when a cancer survivor shows up and says, when I needed it, I had the paid leave I needed and it made all the difference. Or shows up and says, I didn't have it, and here's what it cost me. Here's what it cost me when I had to go back to work when my body was still healing from a rough childbirth. Here's what it cost me when my dad was on life support and I couldn't be there with him because I had to work. Here's what it cost me when I had to keep doing the math of putting off when I could afford to get my cancer treated because I couldn't take the time off. So stories are absolutely the whole world. They are the thing that moves the needle. They are the way we have gotten every state paid leave program done, and they are the way we are going to get a federal program done.
Amen. Love that. And finally, what is one thing you want our viewers to take away from today's conversation?
Uh, the time is now to get loud. The time is now to show up in Moms Rising, to show up with Paid Leave for All, to show up in your communities and say, we absolutely need this. Our families are paying the price for not having it. This is not a nice to have. This is not a cute side issue. This is not something that we can afford to keep leaving to employers. The time is now to get loud and say, we needed this yesterday. We will need this tomorrow. It is time to finally show up and make this guarantee for all of us, because all of our families need it. All of our families will benefit from it. And all of our families deserve to know that when we get sick, when our loved ones need us, when we welcome a new child, that protection is going to be there for us when we need it. I look forward to a world where we all get to take this for granted. I don't think our kids specifically will ever be able to take it for granted. I think they've heard too much from us about the need for paid leave. I think my kids think that if there's words on a t-shirt, it either says paid leave for all or Eagles. Like, I think those are the only things they think can be on a t-shirt. But I want their friends to take it for granted when they grow up, that this is something that people have always had because they've always needed it, and that's the world that I want to build towards and live in.
I love that. And for those of us who are here and getting to know both of us, Molly and I are not that far apart from each other in the city of Philadelphia. And while I agree with Molly on most things, Go Birds is not one of them.
Oh.
I am firmly a Steelers fan, but we'll let that be the only thing we disagree on.
I think we can work through it. I think we can work through it.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Molly, thank you so much for joining us today for this important discussion about paid family and medical leave and how it is a lever to achieving equal pay for moms and all women. We've learned a great deal from you, including that while we have a fight ahead of us to pass the Family Act, we also have so many state victories to celebrate. You've shared some wonderful resources, so I do have the link to the Onward and Upward prop document that Molly put up, so that will be in the link in the description below. And we're going to pass those along. Listeners, here's how you can join us, and as Molly said, get loud on this Moms Equal Pay Day. One, you can click the link in the description below to sign our petition for our national petition to call on Congress to pass the Family Act. Two, you can share your story. So as Molly said, stories are an incredible lever to helping Congress understand the need for paid leave and just what's at stake. So if you've had access to paid leave or if you haven't had access, tell us your story so that we can take it straight to the leaders and the change makers who are sitting in office and who can help us get access to paid leave. And three, you can share this video with 3 friends or just drop it in your group chat and spread the word. Molly, do you have any key takeaways or final words you'd like to add?
I think the real lesson that I think about every single day is that the best time to pass paid leave is before. The second best time is right now. And so until the good people of Moms Rising figure out how to build our time machine, which I believe that the power of moms can do, but until we get there, the best thing we can do is make sure that tomorrow is better than today by finally bringing home this need that we've needed for so very long.
Great. Thank you so much, Molly. Thanks everyone for listening.